I know your attitude towards this is sort of that you're just watching back and laughing as it all happens before your eyes. And I get that because I'm
Yeah.
overseas and I'm enjoying life in different parts of Europe and would not even think about dating an Australian girl. Um, but I've still got that part of me that wants to fight for the West, even though it might be too far gone. And I've got that part of me that wants to just embrace the ideas of Christianity and the nuclear family and wants to embody what I want to see in the world. But when you're
Mm.
watching a train wreck happen before your eyes, sometimes I feel like there's no point standing in front of the train going, "No, I'll stop you." There's not much you can do about it.
That's a great analogy because that's essentially what you're up against. You're trying to stop a freight train with 100 cars behind it and three locomotive engines pushing it through with just your hands stopping it on the tracks. That's the size of the problem that we're up against. Sure, I'd love to see the return of the nuclear family, femininity, masculinity, conventional femininity, women being a complement to a man's life, a man providing, a man having, authority over his household, with the responsibility to it. The conventional things that made my grandfather, my great grandfathers, like down, through those paths that, allowed me to exist today. But I don't think that we're going to return to that time anytime soon. There's a cultural shift that's, again, it's trying to pussify and weaken and soften the Western male. It's trying to tell women to become more like men. Again, put off having families, put off having children, go climb the corporate ladder, get degrees, frame them in mahogany, put them on the wall, get promoted. I mean, it's why we have so many single childless women now in their late 30s, desperate with baby rabies to have children on dating apps after they've been run through by 50 to 100 guys trying to hold out purity and, getting right with God and wanting to get married. I mean, one of the big problems that I see with religion today, and like the original rule book does have great points, right? If you follow the original rule book, I think that it's a good set of guidelines. The problem is today is that most churches and most religions are basically beta factories, right? You see it all the time in these men's discussion groups. Like I'm in a few of them on Facebook, and you'll get some dork that's like, my wife hasn't slept with me and I don't know, 3 or 4 months, blah blah blah, and I want to be intimate with her, and she says do more chores, or some guys will chime in and be like, well, what's her love language, sort of thing, because my wife's love language is this, and if you read this love language book, then you can also get basic starfish missionary sex like I do, once every month as well. And it's like, losers, right? Like these guys are not living their best life. And to some degree, it's not really their fault. They've been programmed with a sequence of lies and bullshit that they've consumed, and they're drunk on this Kool-Aid, and they're living this narrative of things like chore play. Like if I just change enough diapers and iron enough shirts and do the laundry and cut the grass and swap the snow tires for the summer tires, she'll eventually bang me, enthusiastically. And that's not the way it works. It's never worked that way. And these guys inherently know this. Like they know if they go back in their minds to where they first met their wife before they got married, before they were engaged, when they had enthusiastic, rough monkey sex in the back seat of their parents' car in a parking lot somewhere, they know what genuine desire looks like. But through a process of betatization, through 1,000 concessions, which usually starts with something like, don't brush your teeth over there, you're going to get it on the carpet, put the black socks in the black hamper and the white socks in the white hamper. Like they go through this sequence of yes, 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 honey, to everything. And they don't have a backbone, and they don't know how to lead, and they don't know how to set the tone, and they don't know how to say no, that they end up in a point where they're on a men's, discussion board talking about God, Jesus, and doing more chore play just to get some pathetic starfish sex once every 6 months, right? So I know that's a bit of a rant, but I don't see culture shifting in a large enough degree where there's ever going to be a return to the conventional norms that we operated in for millions of years. I think this shift in the last, it's probably since, I'd say, the 60s, 70s, like since hormonal birth control, since that shift, that things have just been on the decline, progressively.
And I feel like it's what you say about betatization through 1,000 concessions, like what you just said, all of the little concessions that you constantly give away. I feel like on the micro level, that's true. But then on the macro level, that's also true in terms of society and the way that men have danced around these issues over the last 60 years or whatever. And we don't have a collective backbone anymore either. And then every time somebody tries to stand up and say, hey, I'm going to, nope, cut them down and basically shit on them. So I think you and I would both be happy to see the return of, nuclear family and values. And, maybe it does turn around. I'm still somewhat hopeful, but it's not looking great.
The good news is that is what is attractive still to women. The good news is that strong, virtuous, alpha type of men are what women are authentically attracted to. And your competition has never been lower than ever. Like, all that my great grandfather needed to do was basically go and fight in a war, probably, and come back and get a job. And that job was enough, to provide for a family, have a house, have a stay-at-home wife, a bunch of kids, everything taken care of. For today's modern women, that's not even close to enough anymore. You've got to be over 6'2". You've got to make $250,000 a year. You got to drive a really nice car. You got to, they've got this long laundry list: humble, nice, funny, sweet, alpha, beta, da 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 da. It's like it keeps going and going and going and going, sort of thing. And it's like, and what do most women bring to the table? Usually like a body count of 50, and they're selling purity, and they want to be a wife, right? Many cases they're bringing some other dude's kids, sometimes from multiple fathers, right? Like today's modern women, generally speaking, and you sort of alluded to this, mentioning that you rarely date women from Australia. And I get it, because women in Eastern Europe are far more feminine. They're more conventional. They're more conservative. They're more willing to enter the frame of a strong masculine man. So there is some beacon of hope. That's why I'm more, along the lines of just enjoy the decline. Look at the game, understand the rules, play within it, and optimize yourself as best as you can. Because you can still have a great life as a guy today. You can still, if you want to have children, you can still do that. If you want to have a girlfriend, if you want to, take on the risk of marriage, you can do all of those things if you like. And if you do it right, and you're a strong enough guy that's done the work on themselves, you'll stand out from the crowd easily, very, very easily, because the competition has never been weaker than what it is today.
I really hope you guys enjoyed that clip. If you want to watch the full-length podcast, you can find that over here, that clip's from. If you're newer to the channel, make sure you hit subscribe over here, and pin down below in the top comment, you'll find a bunch of useful links to my website, my supplement line, books, and a bunch of other stuff. Have an amazing day. Peace out.